everyone, it is me, NeuroKid, back here today to show you today's creation. Today's creation is this FPV racing drone. If you aren't familiar to the term FPV, it means first-person video. It is called a first-person video racing drone because I can see first-person video in these VR goggles from the drone's camera. How does this work, you may ask? It is all because of this mini transmitter here, which sends the signal from the camera to the goggles. This whole drone is made out of carbon fiber, which is a really strong material, and it has some powerful purple blades on here that can make it send it flying through the air to complete the track. This is all powered with my 4-cell 1500 mAh battery. This has a C rating of 75, which means you can let out a lot of amps for a lot of power, which means the drone can make really powerful bursts of speed. I can control this whole drone with my FlySky FSI-6 transmitter. It basically has similar controls to a game controller, but it has 6 channels that it can transmit to the drone for the drone to do different things. The drone receives this information through this receiver right here at the very bottom of the drone. Now, I'll go more in depth on how this drone works right now. Hello everyone, I am back, and as I said, I am going to show you what this drone is made out of and how it all works together. So, I bought most of my pieces online from Banggood, but I also considered buying things from Hobby King and eBay. So, my final result was I bought majority of it from Banggood, but I found some good value pieces from Hobby King and eBay. Basically, the whole drone is made from parts from Banggood, except for the ESC and the transmitter, the FPV transmitter. So I bought the carbon fiber frame, the flight controller, the carbon fiber frame here, the flight controller, the power distribution board, the camera, the motors, the propellers, all of that from Banggood. But it's not 100% Banggood because I also bought my transmitter from eBay, which means I also got my receiver from eBay, and I bought my battery, the 4-cell battery that I showed you before. I bought this from Hobby King. So I have a large amount of pieces from all over the internet. Anything that I can find with good value, I decided to use in this drone. The end product is really powerful and really fast drone that I still aren't able to control because it's just that powerful. But I think that's enough of me rambling on about this drone and how the pieces are, and time to get into the interesting things like how it works. Now it's time for me to tell you how this drone works. It has 4 motors, which is one of the reasons why it's called a quadcopter. The motors spin in different directions, which allows the drone to turn left, right, go forwards, backwards, and move left and right. It is also able to go up and down. This is all controlled by the FlySky FSI-6 radio that I was talking to you about. It is 6 channels. Okay, so now that we know that the motors spin different ways, I'll tell you how you control the motors. So, if you look at a motor really carefully here, you would be able to see that there are 3 wires sticking out. It's a bit dark, so I'm not sure if you can see. These wires all lead up to the ESC right here, this green board. What I'm using in this setup is a 4-in-1 ESC, which means that it can control all 4 of the motors with just one board. Normally, you would have 4 ESCs, 1 for each motor, and they would be sticking on each one of these arms. But I found that idea quite messy, so I decided to go with my simple 4-in-1 board. This is also a lot better because you only have to wire the ESC to one space on the power distribution board, which is up here. You only have to solder the positive and negative once. Whereas if you had 4 ESCs, 1 on each side, you'd have to hook it up to 4 positive and negative pads, 2 for each. The power distribution board collects power from my battery here. Its connection is really simple, just one of those easy plug-in types. So you plug this in here. And of course I am using a rechargeable battery, so I don't consume 1,000 batteries every time I want to fly. Next thing I'm going to talk about is how the drone knows how to act when it gets its commands. So it receives its command right here from this receiver that collects its commands from my beautiful transmitter. It has a lot of connections which you can see by all of these wires, which run down into my last board in my pack, which is the flight controller. This is basically one of the most essential pieces in my drone. So, how the flight controller works is, for each one of the motors has a wire from the ESC, which is color-coded nice and prettily. And you can connect them all. The connections are all enclosed in this box here. So I'm not going to be able to show you because that would be taking apart the drone, which is really a big pain to put back together. So there's a bunch of wires running inside here next to the camera. Essentially what happens is the flight controller sends signals to the ESC, which is the thing that's connected to the motors. So the flight controller is able to control the motors like that. The flight controller is programmed to know what to do when it gets information from my receiver. So I have a program called Clean Flight. I know I'm not using Beta Flight, but that's okay. Clean Flight works perfectly fine for me. I'll put an image to it around here. So, basically, it all works with this getting signals from my transmitter, which the flight controller sends more signals to the ESCs, which power the motors. And ESC stands for electric speed control for the motors. Now I'll talk about the last aspect on this magnificent drone, which is this camera right here. It has a bit of glare, but I think you can see it. So this camera is the thing that you can see FPV with, which is really cool, because then I can see what the camera sees while I'm flying, which is amazing, because then I know where I am on the track, what I'm looking at, all of that, without having to experiment. This is all possible because of this amazing 72 channel transmitter. But when dealing with this transmitter, you have to be very careful that you're on a legal channel, because some channels are illegal as they can interfere with the weather stations, things like that. So I hope now you can understand partially how this drone works, and I'll show you some footage of it flying. I'm sorry, I might not be the best flyer, but I'll do what I can. So, see you on the track. Okay, now I am on the track that I'm going to fly. Well, it's not really a track, it's just a field. So I'm going to show you how I start the drone and everything like that. So, here is the drone you saw earlier with the battery on the bottom, because that gives you quite a bit of stability. So I'm going to take these two and start it up around here. So, as I said, it's just a simple connection. I'm going to start this up first, and then I'll start this here. Okay, so I'll put that there, and I'll walk back to my chair, and then I'm ready to fly. Hello everyone, I'm back inside. I hope you enjoyed seeing the drone fly. I know it wasn't the best flight that I have done, as I did crash at the very end, but that's not what it was about. It was about me showing you that the drone does work and fly. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already.